My name is Shelby Hutchins, assistant professor with the HHPR here at Pitt State. Our department has a great group of faculty with diverse interests and unique specializations. And today you'll get to meet one of them. We are so lucky to be in the presence of a Pittsburgh legend today, Professor of Recreation Services, Sport and Hospitality Management, Dr. Janice Jewett. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out of your day.
You bet. Thanks for doing this.
So, we're just trying to get to know you. We want to know who you are, what you're about, what your classes are like. Hopefully there's some prospective students out there watching this. Say, man, I'd really love to take a class with Dr. Jewett. So before we get into your teaching style and all that, tell us just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, your history.
Okay. Well, I am a hometown girl. This is my hometown, Pittsburgh, Kansas. And I graduated from PHS and went to school here for my undergrad in business with a major in accounting. Right after I did that, I went to work for Phillips Petroleum in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I quickly learned I did not want to do that as a full-time job. I was driving to work with a kind of a lump in my throat every day. And so I just stayed there a little while and came back to school the first chance I got. When I came back to school, I wasn't really sure about, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure of the path to get there. So I had always admired our Parks and Rec director here in town. And I wasn't, I just thought you kind of stumbled into those jobs. I didn't know there was a rec degree. So like many of our students. So anyway, I just happened to have the right conversations with the right people that said, hey, we have a recreation degree. And that's what you do to get prepared for that. And I said, oh my gosh, that's my master's. That's what I'm going to do my master's in. So I got my master's in physical education here with an emphasis in rec therapy. And right after that, I went to work for the Newton Recreation Commission as a recreation center director. Got to oversee a beautiful community center at the time, and did a lot of special events for them and programs. So that was a very good first rec job for me. And then, but they were a rec commission. I really wanted the parks and rec experience. So I wanted to work in a park setting too.
So for those that don't understand the difference, can you explain that a little bit to us?
Yes. So a rec commission has its own set of commissioners, a group of typically elected officials that will oversee their whole operation. So if you're a rec director, you work directly for them. Their funding is different, etc. A Parks and Rec department is within the city operations. So much like finance, public works, police and fire, then you've got Parks and Recreation. Their funding comes from the city. They have typically an advisory board of volunteers, really. They're appointed by a true city commission that oversees the whole city operation.
Right. Okay, cool. And then from there, you went to Lee Summit, Missouri, correct?
Yes. So I got that Parks and Rec job was open there, and I really, like I said, wanted in a Parks and Rec department. So I got a recreation programming job there and got to work within a really cool department for a very progressive boss that was heavily involved in NRPA. And I got some special training through NRPA with him, the finance school that we had at the time and things like that. Yeah.
Awesome. So from there, it looks like based on your trajectory, you were kind of led back to Pittsburgh. Talk about that journey back home.
So for me, I had met my husband while I was in school, and we were not married yet. We had this distance relationship going on, and Russ was coaching here, and I was like, wow, I think I want to be back in Pittsburgh, and he proposed, and we decided then, that I needed to be back in Pittsburgh. And so anyway, my journey kind of started there, coming back home. And I actually taught a couple years. I've been around Pittsburgh State for a long time, but as a graduate assistant here, and then coming back as an instructor for a couple years. And then my dream job came open. That was with Parks and Rec. And so I went there. And while I was there, I actually still taught as an adjunct for Pittsburgh State. I taught a class called Management Strategies in
Okay.
Recreation. Yeah.
Yeah. And you served as director of Pittsburgh Parks and Rec for 4 years. Is that correct?
That's right.
So walk us through a little bit of that experience. I know we don't have enough time necessarily to get into all 4 years, but
right.
What were some of your takeaways from that experience? And for those that are out there that might be wanting to explore the field of Parks and Rec, I know we have a lot of majors who are really interested in that.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get started, and what were your biggest takeaways from that experience?
Okay, so the recreation degree is a very big preparation for that, I believe. Just because in our classes you get a lot of hands-on experience, and you get to volunteer at some of those events offered by Parks and Rec or by the local YMCA or a multitude of other facilities and entities. So, but for me, I got hired in May or June, which is, if you're in Parks and Rec, you know that summer's a big time. So I jumped in, and we had special events for the 4th of July, Labor Day weekend. We had a nice swimming pool. It was an old one, but we had that going. We have a ton of parks in Pittsburgh and ball fields. Our softball and baseball programs were huge at that time as well. And a memorial auditorium that had been renovated not too long before that, that had a lot of opportunities for performances and stuff. And so all of that, and the golf course, actually a cemetery, all of that came under the umbrella of, of Parks and Recreation. So, and some of that I'd had experience with, and some very little. So that was totally different. And we had a staff of about 16 and full-time. And that was mostly on the parks and golf course side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So had to wear a whole lot of different hats as the director of that program. And that's something we emphasize to our students is, having all of these different skill sets from all these different parts of the business, whether you're on the rec side of things or the sports side of things, seems to be a necessity these days to be well versed in every little element of the enterprise. So.
Exactly.
Excellent. You mentioned you really admired the Pittsburgh Parks and Rec director, and that's what really inspired you to get back into the Parks and Rec profession. What was it about that individual, and what about their passion for Parks and Rec really inspired you to pursue a career in that?
So I'm, as I mentioned, I'm a local kid, or was a local kid, and I came from a family with a lot of love and a lot of support, but not a lot of money. And Parks and Rec always has offered me that opportunity to be involved in things that maybe our family couldn't afford at the time as a kid. And so, I'm the kid that was on her bike every day, riding to the swimming pool, doing, I credit, it's crazy, but baton twirling was a big thing back in my day.
Yeah.
And Parks and Rec offered it for very cheap. And that's where I picked up, I think, some good rhythm that allowed me to start my journey kind of towards the dance area of things. So anyway, those opportunities were really cool. And then I taught, and then I got into fitness when it came out in terms of a big popular thing called aerobics. And I taught for Parks and Rec at that time too. And so that was really cool. And the previous director, very professional and calm, cool, and collected attitude. And I always admired that, because I knew that he wore a lot of hats, and that he had to keep everything, running and people happy. And sometimes that's a challenge.
Yes.
So I always admired the way that he presented himself in that way, and what the whole department accomplished.
Wow. So your Parks and Rec experience growing up really had a profound impact on you, and
it did.
really led to this career. So I'm sure many of you out there watching can relate, or are pursuing a field similar to this, or if not the same, for similar reasons. So it's really cool to hear your story from that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's dive into what you do on a daily basis here at Pitt State now. Tell us about the classes you teach.
Okay. Well, I get to teach a variety. So like today I'll have a dance appreciation class. I had a group fitness instructors class as well. So for students who want to maybe get into teaching group fitness, that's a course that I enjoy teaching. I have a finance and marketing of sport and leisure services graduate course that I teach online. And then during the other semesters, there'll be some changes in there. I have a dance performance and production class that is all about putting on a dance show. Also covers CASHA rules for dance coaches and things like that. And then I teach lifetime fitness concepts online. And I have a community and worksite wellness course that I teach as well that prepares students to work in that industry and kind of bring all the pieces together of fitness, mental health, physical health, financial wellness, all of that together.
Yeah, it's a booming profession. Whenever I was at Arkansas, one of our I guess assistant directors of campus rec had previously been the wellness director at Walmart. So
Yes.
really interesting to see how that industry, the corporate wellness piece, has become so popular and so prevalent.
I do have a side note on that. When I worked for Phillips Petroleum and really wherever I've been, I've gotten a chance to work in corporate wellness in some aspects.
Really?
So,
okay.
So at Phillips, they had a huge, and they still do, they had a huge wellness component, and I got to, outside of my normal hours of being an accountant, I got to go experience some of that and participate in some of it. So yeah, very cool.
Go off on a tangent here if we want. All of the different wellness initiatives that you see being, I guess, promoted and things like that in all these various corporate settings, it seems like each business has its own little wellness program, whatever that might look like, and they have various values associated with them. What are the most common trends that you've seen in your experience within that wellness program at the corporate level? Like what are some of the themes and trends between them all?
Well, a huge focus, of course, is just reducing the healthcare cost. So, and keeping people at work.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's not what they tell you whenever they're promoting these programs, right? It's going to be good for you. It's also good for the company's bottom line.
Definitely it is. And that is very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think there is a huge trend towards incentives that we have to give people incentives to participate. So even like with the state of Kansas, we get a break in our health insurance premiums if we meet certain criteria, if we go through some of the steps to check our like cholesterol numbers, our body mass index, and things like that. I think those are important, and I do believe we'll continue to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I think anything to keep our public happier and healthier is going to be beneficial for everyone. All right, so you kind of got to plot the course for a really unique program we offer here, and that's our dance minor. Tell us about the dance minor. That's something really unique that we offer that not a lot of other institutions do at all, especially not within Health, Human Performance, and Recreation Department. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we started with so I got hired from Pittsburgh Parks and Rec. You know, I interviewed for the job here and et cetera, et cetera. And like, I'm like, okay, I'm a rec professional. I'm going to be teaching recreation classes. And a week before the semester started, my first semester of being here and teaching full time, Dr. Heffley, our chair, said, oh, by the way, you're going to teach a Monday night country western ballroom dance class. And I said, what? and so like, if you have a group fitness kind of background, in my history and aerobics background, people assume that you can do all kinds of dance stuff. And that's not really the case.
Yeah.
You have to work at it.
Yeah. They're kind of different worlds.
They are. And so I had to work pretty hard at that, but we had great success in that class. And along the way, I said, hey, would you like to try to do this as a general education course? We would change it up, and it have some different aspects to it. And so we got that approved in 2001, and then we've had good success with that class. And then I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, Dr. Opp, our current chair, started talking to me about, what about, let's do something with that. Let's do a dance minor. And so we tried to figure out, how can we do this best? And so ours is unique. It focuses on helping students be prepared to own or manage their own dance studio, to teach at a dance studio, to coach a dance team, to even just continue their journey towards dance. A lot of people have danced their whole life. It's part of their soul. And if they can have a reason to continue that and an avenue to do so, they will want to do that during college. And so our minor is unique. We don't have a major with it, although we have talked about that. But our minor, I think, complements. We have majors come from all over campus. We have business majors, family and consumer science. We have nursing majors. You name it. They're from our department as well as everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see the diversity of other majors and stuff that we incorporate into the department through that dance minor. It's a really unique offering that we have, and as a result, we get to interact with a lot of students with a lot of varied interests, and that makes our lives a whole lot easier and a whole lot better too. So how would you describe then your teaching style? You have this broad range of classes. I imagine a lot of your dance classes have to be pretty interactive. You have to lead them through, have to show them through things. But aside from that, what's your teaching style like in general?
Okay, so I'm not really good at self-evaluating like my teaching style. So I kind of look at like, what have students said?
Yeah.
And some will say, she brings a lot of passion. You can tell she likes what she does or whatever. And then other students will say, I like the laid back attitude of the class. So, it's a different perception for everyone. What I like to focus on and what I feel like I have to work at is connecting the dots with everything, because I'll throw out some different content and then just bringing it all together. That's a trick.
Yeah,
you probably already mastered that, but I'm
far from it. I'm reminded every day.
But I think that's an important aspect. And then definitely the hands-on aspect. I want students to have a chance to experience and practice. And you and I have talked about the practical side of things. You and I both feel the same way. And I feel like all of our rec professors do, that we really want to give students the opportunity to experience this, because we know that's the best way they learn. So, and we want to deliver practical information that you can use right away or file for in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So then what's your favorite dance class to teach? We'll start dance class and then we'll go favorite class overall, if that changes.
Well, I do greatly appreciate and enjoy teaching dance appreciation.
Yeah.
I get students from all over campus. That's really cool. I get students with years of experience and students with no experience. And I always tell them, on the first day, what's kind of cool about this is that most of you, even if you've had a ton of dance experience, you probably haven't had the style of dance I'm going to teach, which is more social dance, and then international dancing, folk dancing, square dancing, just a wide variety of partner kind of dancing for the most part, outside of some line dances.
So it's kind of a they get to experience all of those different types of dances all within the same class.
They do. They get to learn the history of those dances. They get to develop their own choreography in class. We go out and we share that. Like last semester, we went to an elementary school. We were on their tennis courts. We didn't get to do that during the peak of COVID, what I hope was the peak. But since we got to go outside and do it in a local park, actually by Lakeside, we got to teach the students. And then we also went to Frontenac. This semester, my class is going to an assisted living facility. We'll do a demonstration for the residents.
Very cool.
So they get, we get to, I guess, have an impact on the community as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And not to go too far backwards here, but the dance, our dance program has a show coming up
Mhm.
in April, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So the minor and dance program, our program will host a show. It's called the Second Annual Dance Research Symposium and Performance. The research aspect occurs in the Bicknell lobby. It's Wednesday, April 13th. And then after we do the research symposium in the lobby from 5:30 to 7:30, then we have a show on the stage in the performance hall. Right now, we have probably 20 numbers. We're locked in. We're having tech meetings tomorrow at the Bicknell. We get to a really cool aspect about our campus is that it's small enough where we get to work with other departments a great deal.
Yeah.
And one of those for the dance program is the Bicknell.
Mhm.
So their tech people are meeting individually with each one of our student choreographers.
Wow.
To design tech specific to their number. So last year we had a student who wanted water on the stage. So, and the cool thing about our staff at the Bicknell is there's no, it's not really in their vocabulary. They'll try to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty unique. So anyway, we'll have 20 numbers on the stage, all choreographed by our students or our faculty I should say. And probably don't have an actual number yet, but probably about 60 different students ranging from beginners to very advanced dancers. So
Wow.
for some, it'll be their first time on stage because they happen to be in one of our dance classes this semester. So
that's very cool.
Yep.
That's very cool. It's great to have those resources and great to have departments across campus that are willing to work with us. That is absolutely one of the biggest benefits being here at Pitt State. So if your students take any one thing away from your classes to life after college, to their careers after college, what would that one thing be?
Oh, that is a very good question. Honestly, from the very earliest part of my career, I would say it's service.
Mhm.
And just maybe kind of the service approach that what we do may help others. And that is what is all recreation is all
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
We interact a lot with the public and whoever we're serving in that entity, whether it be rec therapy or whatever the case, we're trying to help others in some fashion or another. And so I think that is something that is a characteristic throughout our classes that we teach.
Mhm. Very cool. So outside of everything here at Pitt State, outside of the SRC,
Yes.
what does Dr. Jewett do for fun?
Oh, for fun. I thought you were going to ask about service. I was going down that path. So for fun, well, in my spare time, I guess a lot of it has been based around track and field because my husband's been a coach for a number of years, and that's been a cool aspect. Definitely my family, my kids. They're adults now, but they're pretty young adults. They're both in their 20s and just starting to navigate real world experiences, and that has not been normal as of late. And so they help me honestly keep a good pulse on what a 20-some-year-old is experiencing right now, which I think is really important. And the mental health aspect, we talked about keeping employees happy.
Mhm.
I certainly hear that from my kids and my students that are in the community and worksite wellness too, that mental health is really important right now, more so than ever. And so anyway, my daughter's a PE teacher. She went through our program, and so that's really cool. I'm proud of her. She just blessed us with a grandbaby, and so we have a 3-month-old grandbaby that's taken a lot of our very willingly our time and energy, which we love her to death. And then our son just graduated with a musical theater degree and is
From Pitt State?
It's not from Pitt State.
Not from Pitt State.
We don't have a direct musical theater degree, but I will say, side note here, we are working with the theater department to produce a musical with them.
Oh, wow.
In the fall. So we're super excited about that. That's another one of those small smaller institutions and working with other departments and just kind of the feel of Pittsburgh State. But our son is chasing his dream in New York. He's been in a show. He's opening a new show, premiering it later this month, actually.
That's
So,
amazing.
and he's doing his survival job to pay the bills.
That's amazing. So exciting. Very cool. Very cool. So for any students out there that might be considering Pitt State, might be considering the dance minor, might be considering another degree within HHPR, why Pitt State?
Okay, so there's a lot of reasons that come to mind. One is family. You kind of feel like you're part of a family here. I just heard that at convocation. Really, it was emphasized. I know that, but they had like 6 students up there speaking, and that was something that each one of them said. Family atmosphere at Pittsburgh State, I think that's big. And within, you come into HHPR, and I think that is really, really the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're going to be in class sizes where the students are, where the instructors are going to know your name. They'll have it down pretty quick, depending on the size of the class. But most of those classes, you know, you're going to be 15 to 20 in a class, and that's where instructors get to know you. Yeah. And get to know about what your goals are. Yeah. And help you that way.
And able to provide a more individualized level of instruction that it seems is becoming ever more necessary as we move on through COVID and everything else, right? Generational differences, but COVID on top of that, it's wild to see. And like you said, yeah, the class sizes and things that we can offer and quality of instruction that you're going to get because of those class sizes is absolutely top notch. So where can we reach you if we want to know more about the dance minor, about anything you're doing in the community, about getting involved in the Parks and Rec profession? What's the best place to reach you?
So I'm right here in the Student Rec Center in room 101 in our office complex, and J. Jewett at pittstate.edu.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure as always. Those of you out there, be sure you like, share, subscribe the videos, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks so much.